All right, which state is the corn state? Iowa. Who said Iowa? Right there. All right, let's go. All right. How about the colorful state? Who said Colorado first? All right. Run that back to Mrs. Owens. How about the ocean state? What? Say it again. Rhode Island. I heard it over here first. Who said Rhode Island? All right. All right. Which state has no motto? They don't even bother to putting it on their license plate. No? No? No one's going to get it. It's Wyoming. They don't even bother. All right, how about... some of these are too easy. And some of you did the states, so I can't ask you because I know you've researched. How about the, and if you've won one, don't repeat it. So if you've already got one. Let's do, some of them have multiple ones. They changed their slogan. Like, how about the Evergreen State? No? Washington. Who said Washington? Right there. We'll do one more, and the rest I'll just draw for us who don't know any of these. You have more of a chance of me just picking your name randomly. All right, how about, oh, that one's too easy. We'll do the beef state. Nebraska. Who said Nebraska? Right there. All right, so now we'll just draw, because I wouldn't have gotten any of them. I don't even get my state shapes half the time. It's really bad. Geography and me were not friends. All right, Vicki Henry. Where's Vicki? All right. How about D? I got one. Got one more plaque. Let's do a kid's drawing. I got different stuff for you kids. You don't want those. All right. Shannon Hyrack. Where's Shannon? You want to come up and get your prize? You got a United States puzzle. All right, we'll go back to the adults. How about Linda Butler? All right. All right, another kid. Let's do Carly Hickson. Stuff to do on a road trip. Yeah, you forgot to take those. It's okay, I'll be going down. We'll do one more kid. Susan. Where's Susan? No, child Susan. Suzanne, yep. All right. An adult. Charlotte Edwards? Back there. I'm getting my exercise. You get Sudoku and Mentos, because that's what I do on road trips. There you go. All right, I think I have... Oh, this one's for... I need a teenager for this one. We should have had 3 piles. Lauren Hoffer. She gets a selfie stick, because you know. Everyone needs a selfie stick on a road trip. All right, how about Riley Wells? Riley, where's Riley? Here, Riley. One more, last one for the kids. For the kids, please pick me. Pick me. Brianna Lear, you wish that to happen. That was amazing. She looked deep into my eyes. And I actually did. All right. Well, we have made a little road trip movie for you to enjoy. So we are going to play that for you. Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm recovering from my recent road trip. It's been 3 days.
Hi, Rachel.
Rachel, would you like to share with us your most recent road trip?
Okay. Well, all road trips start off pretty good. I think I have everything ready. I prepare and I plan, and, we were going to Grandma's this time, and I was sure it would be different than all the other road trips. And, it started off okay. I kind of felt like Mary Poppins at first. All right, kids, is everyone excited to go to Grandma's house?
Yeah!
All right, everyone got your seatbelts on?
Check!
All right, everyone got your blankets and pillows?
Check!
Everyone got their snack bags?
Check!
All right, I think we're ready to go. All right, Dad, let's pull out. Let's sing a song, guys. Ready? The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first too. But about hour 3, things start to change, and I just have a hard time even caring about their problems anymore. I don't know what happens to me. Just something flips in my brain, and I go from the mom who tries to work things out to, I don't know, I just don't even care anymore.
Mom, it's my turn to be on the phone. She's been on it forever. Yeah, it's my turn to have the tablet.
Mom, could you tell Olivia to get off my side of the seat?
Hey, don't, I need to get off my side of my seat.
You know what? These are not your seats. Your father and I bought this van, and we bought these seats, and these seats belong to us. And if you think you can call dibs on a seat, then go get a job. Do you all understand me?
Yeah, I know I don't know what comes over me, but it gets worse. I don't know, sometime around hour 5, I become like serial killer mom. Everything goes black inside. I can feel it coming over me, and I I snap and I get that calm voice. You know, the scary one. It's really bad.
Mom, tell Wyatt to stop farting. That's so gross.
I'm not, Mom!
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not! Mom, Lydia rubbed pudding all over her face. Why in the world would you give Lydia your pudding? Mom,
Mom, Wyatt, that's it. New rule. My name is no longer Mom. No one is allowed to call me Mom. Do you all understand? From now on, you can refer to me as Rachel. And if I hear one more person say the word Mom, I'm opening up this door and I'm jumping out and I'm taking you with me. Do you understand?
Yes, Mom.
Pretty bad. How did it end?
My husband can tell you. This road trip ended the way most road trips end.
What a long trip. Well, we're here.
Finally. It's about time. All right, kids. We're here.
You know what? Let's just leave them here.
Good idea. Let's just leave them.
Dad?
Mom.
Mommy?
Mom?
How many have ever experienced that for real? You all know. We're gonna do our song. Okay. All right, what we're gonna do now is James and Jordan. Where's James? Okay, I'm gonna need James and Jordan and Autumn in a minute. And we're gonna take the children downstairs and they're going to work on a craft while we hear from our special speaker. We're gonna do one song and then we're gonna do that. But so I just need to get a number. So if your child is old enough to do a craft and under, we'll say 8 and under for right now. If they could stand up or raise your hand or so I can count how many. How many? 8 and under and old enough to do a craft. They'd have to. 8 counts if you're 8. Are you 8? Put your hand down for now. I gotta see how many I got. Keep your hands up, kids, if you're 8 or under and old enough to do a craft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, put your hands down if you're 9 and want to do the craft. Okay, Brooke. Is that for you? All right, 2 more. Okay, we'll do 9. What about 10-year-olds? I'll give you the option. If you want to go downstairs and do the craft, I think we have enough. Are they downstairs yet? I don't know. All right, while we're waiting for them, we're going to do one song. So if my ladies group who's singing could come. And then right after the song, we'll dismiss the kids, and then I'll introduce you to our special speaker.
what we're feeling when we see what we must sacrifice. But you promised you'll go with us, so we'll trust with our lives down any road at any cost. Wherever you lead, we will follow, because we know that you've called us to take up our cross down any road at any cost. It's your love that compels us to do what you called us to do, and be completely abandoned to you. Down any road at any cost. Wherever you lead, we will follow, because we know that you called us to take up our cross down any road at any cost. Because we know that you called us to take up our cross down any road at any cost. Down any road at any cost.
All right. Autumn, can you go over to that hallway over there? All right, so if you're going to do the craft and you're 10 and under, you can follow Miss Autumn over there. 10 and under. Don't worry, she has some help down there. They're boys though, so I don't know how much of a help they'll be. They're making, have you ever seen the travel necklaces? They string Cheerios and Lifesavers and gummy rings and all that and make a travel necklace that they can eat in the car. That's what they're going to be making. So the boys actually might eat more than they're going to help. We'll see how that works out. All right. All right, where is Misty? She is in here, right? There she is. All right. So at this time, we're going to hear from our special speaker. This is Miss Misty Buteau, and she made a road trip from Illinois to Pennsylvania, and I'll let her tell you all about that because it was quite the exciting trip for them. But Misty and I met in college. We actually both grew up in Illinois, but we didn't know each other in high school, but we ended up going back to the same college. And the way we really connected is a lot with her husband. I think I made a road trip with you once, going back to Illinois, but I think I did it with Josh. Her husband, his name is Josh, and if you think my husband is tall, you should meet her husband. He's huge. But Josh was from Illinois, and so all of us that didn't have a car would pile in his car to go home for like Christmas and Thanksgiving. And he drove this huge green beast. I don't even remember. I just remember it was green and it was enormous, and you can fit a lot of people in there. And so, but Misty was from there too, so she would travel back with us, and that's really kind of how we connected in college. And then she is a pastor's wife in Illinois, so her husband also pastors. And I will let you share the rest of your. Just move these out of the way. Get you set up here. And then before I forget, we do have a gift for you over there. A nice travel bag. It's filled with all kinds of travel stuff and some gift cards for your road trip home.
Thank you. It is really good to be here, and I've enjoyed it very, very much. Like you said, my name is Misty, and I'm from Illinois. So if you look at the map, this one isn't as big. But we came from the middle of the United States over to the East Coast, and it's a 9-hour drive, supposed to be. And I was really excited when Rachel invited me to come speak. And the first thing I did, before I even asked my husband, said anything to my husband, I texted Amy, my friend, and I said, "Do you want to go on a road trip?" At this point, I have no idea what your theme is. I have no idea what she has planned. All I know is I'm coming to Pennsylvania and I'm taking this awesome road trip. And so, of course, I wanted my best friend to come with me because what's a road trip without your best friend? And so I asked her to come, and she did, and we were very excited to come. And then Rachel, I said, "What? By the way, what's your theme?" And she said, "It's road trip." And I thought, oh boy, because you know how God just kind of works those kinds of things in. You're going on a road trip with your best friend. The theme is road trip. I didn't really have any road trip stories, but now I do. And we've taken trips before where we have, I lived in Nevada for 6 years, and so we made a trip with, and I'll get to that in a few minutes, but I made a trip with my family. I had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 2-month-old, and a dog. And we all piled in my minivan, and we drove from Reno, Nevada, which is right next to California, all the way to Illinois in less than 2 days. And so that was quite an experience in and of itself. But on this trip, it's supposed to take 9 hours, and I thought we could stay overnight somewhere on Friday and then drive the rest of the way on Saturday, but then we'd have to get up early, and we wouldn't get a lot of sleep, and then I would like to spend time with Rachel, so we're going to just take the day, because it's 9 hours, that's a work day, and we're going to leave, and we're going to be here by dinner. Great plan, because then we can visit, we can have a nice relaxing evening, and we can have dinner, and we're driving along, and we get to Indiana, which is about 3 hours-ish from where we live. And so we made it 3 hours, and the little light came on the freeway. And I said, "Amy, what is this light?" Because it's a different, we rented a car. And so we rented this car, and so I didn't know what any of the gauges meant or anything. And she looked it up in the little book, and she said it's the low pressure light for the tire. So it says that you should stop and have it checked out if that light comes on. Great, we're in the middle of the freeway, I'll just pull, and so we're like, we'll go to the next exit, and then we'll, check the tire pressure at the gas station or whatever. And I told Amy, I said, I have never in my life had a flat tire, ever, and I said, it would totally freak me out if I had a flat tire on the freeway, especially this freeway, because it's 70 east, and it was so busy, it's like all these lanes of traffic, and semis just screaming by you. Less than 5 minutes later, we heard this big pop, and and we're on the left side. We're in the passing lane, because, we're cruising on a road trip. We are getting there, and so I'm in the fast lane passing everybody, and that happened, and I freaked out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? She's like, pull over. I'm like, where do I pull over? Like, I can't get over there where it's safe, because it was a front right tire. So we pull over to the left side, and then she's like, she wants to get out, and so her car, can I just, okay, I can't be confined to small spaces, but, so I went on a road trip to enjoy the open road, right? And, so she wants to get out and check the tire. It's on her side, on the passenger side, and these semis are flying by. I'm like, don't get out of the car, don't get out of the car. I'm like, I'll get out of the car, and you can climb over, and then you can check, because I'm not checking it, because I was freaked out. And she said, it's fine. And so thank the Lord that Amy was with me and I wasn't by myself, because she's like, we're just going to call, Hertz, who we rented from, and they'll take care of it, and yada, yada. So I'm like, okay, well then come up behind us, flashing red and blue lights, and I'm not even going to say that, because that will happen on the way home. There's something else I've never experienced before, but I'm not going to share it in fear that it would happen on the way home. So these flashing lights come up behind me, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know, where's my driver's license, where's this? And he's like, and it was an off-duty state trooper. And so he came to help us, and he said, we'll go ahead and we can, I'll help you guys. And he looked at the tire, and he said, okay, it's a complete blowout. Like, it got a hole in it, and it's like, it's not, you can't just put air in it and make it better. So he goes, we'll have to change it. So we open up the trunk, And we're like, okay, where's the spare tire? And so we're pulling up the stuff, and there is no spare tire. No spare tire in a rental car. Who does that? Hertz on Hondas. Don't get one. And so the state trooper's like, well, I'll get you to the other side. We'll call, and Amy called for me, and they kept calling her Misty Duto because I was freaked. I couldn't even talk on the phone. I called my husband. I'm like, I have a flat tire, and I don't know what to do. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, Amy's on the phone with the car company. And he goes, okay. And I said, and there's a state trooper. He goes, just call me when you figure it out, because I was just like all over the place. And I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll just have Amy take care of everything, because that's what Amy does. She's my best friend, and she takes care of all my extra stuff that stresses me out. Amy, I love you. And so the state trooper, so here we are, 2 girls on this road trip, shenanigans and everything, and the state trooper has to pull in the middle of the freeway, stop all the traffic to escort these poor 2 damsels in distress over to the other side of the freeway because of where the tire was. And so then we get over there, we're like clunking along, and it was a fun experience. I'd never been in a flat tire before. Now it's kind of exciting. So we're on the other side, and state trooper's like, goes on his way or whatever, make sure we were okay. And the car company said, we will send a tow truck out to come tow you to the airport. That's fine. We thought we were pretty close to the airport because we remember passing it. Well, we had passed it an hour ago. So we had to wait for the tow truck, and then more flashing lights came up, and there was another police officer, and he stayed there, and he made sure that the tow truck driver didn't attack us or anything, like hold us hostage and take, try to kill us or something. You never know. I don't know this man. No idea. And then, so we get in, or he gets, and he's, gets the car. So then we had to drive the hour back to the airport. This is after we had already waited an hour. Drive back to the airport, all the way back west. We were headed east to the airport, and then we had to wait and get the new car, and then we had to drive back. So we lost like 4 hours on our 9-hour trip. So we got in about midnight last night. But here's the really funny thing about this story, and then I'll move on to something that might actually be beneficial to our lives. But the funny part about this entire story is that when we went to rent the car from the airport originally in Peoria, Illinois, I went to the airport and we could not find a parking spot for my car, my van. My husband's like, you don't need to drive your minivan, let's just go ahead and rent a car. My minivan would have made it, okay, I'm just saying. And he said, just rent a car, it'll be fun. Okay, it'll be fun, they said. Yeah. So I'm in there, I'm getting in the car, and the lady at the desk says to me, she said, okay, I had 2 choices. You can have a Nissan Sentra or you can have a Hyundai Elantra. And I said, whichever one you think, I'll take. Because I know nothing about cars, I don't know the difference. She said, okay, I'll give you the little Elantra. I said, perfect. And so Amy comes in, and I'm told her, I'm like, we got a little Elantra. And she's like, I said, we had a choice between Nissan. She goes, I would have went with the Nissan. And I was like, oh, the Elantra, who cares, whatever. So we get in the Elantra originally. This is at the airport originally. We get out there, we get the car, we get in the little Elantra, and we're driving along, and she goes, it sounds funny. I'm like, it's fine. And she goes, oh, it doesn't sound right. I'm like, whoa, the brakes are really touchy. And so we're not even out of the Peoria airport. And she is like, do you want to turn around and get the Nissan? And I'm like, no, the Elantra is going to make it. And she goes, I think we should turn around. We're still at the airport. Let's just turn around and get the Nissan. And I was like, no, we're fine. We're going to make it. And 3 hours later, blowout tire in the little Hyundai. Here's the kicker. Went to get the new car, and they said, we have a Nissan for you. And I said, I should have got the Nissan. If I would have got the Nissan, if I would have listened to her at the airport originally, but then I want to have a fun story to tell you. So anyway, that was our road trip experience. And then, so then we stayed up and we visited a little bit. So I've had like 2 hours of sleep, so I'm pretty tired. But that's the fun of a road trip. And now we have to drive back. So just pray that there will be no experience. Now I knew there would be some kind of delay-ish, because that just happens. I didn't think it was going to be 4 hours, and I didn't think it would be a blowout tire on the freeway, because that was one of my biggest fears. And it was amazing how God took one of those big fears that I have, and he used that just so you guys could all have a good laugh this morning. So I hope you appreciate this. But like Rachel said, my husband is a pastor in Illinois, and I'm not a speaker. I teach a ladies' life group class on Wednesday nights. That's what I do. I'm not this great person, like with all these magical words for you. And so I'm not good with like coming up with these great outlines and this great statement that, and all this stuff. And so what I have found with our church ladies that I speak to, and just other people that I've spoken to and things that I've been to, is I'm just going to tell you a little bit of my testimony, and hopefully it'll help encourage someone here. I don't know. But when we went to college and graduated from college, and when my husband graduated, I was 20 years old, and we moved out from Illinois. Actually, we were in Tennessee at the time. I've been all over. See, that's why she invited me, because I've been all over the United States. But, so we lived in Tennessee. All of our family was in Illinois, and we moved all the way to Reno, Nevada, and we were there for 6 years. And when we went, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any family around me. And it was brown. Everything was brown. Like, I grew up with cornfields and beans, like corn and beans everywhere. Everything was green all summer long. And then I go to Nevada, and it's like, and everything's flat in Illinois. So you can see for miles. It's like, when you get lost, it's okay. Look at the water tower. You can see where you are. In Nevada, it's really mountainous. And it was so dark here last night. I know it's hilly, but are there mountains around here? It's very hilly. I figured that out. But I couldn't see anything because it was, midnight. And so we moved out to Nevada, and I hated it. I grew to love it. We had our 3 children were born there. And with my last child, my first child, I had a lot of complications, and then my second pregnancy was great. We always say she's the perfect child. She has no problems. It's not true, but she has lots. But I had a lot of complications with my third child, which is my only son. And so I was on bed rest for months and months, and my options were I could go into the hospital, or I could have someone move in with us and take care of, because I had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. So my stepmom moved in with us, and so she would take care of, the other 2 and help me with meals and that kind of thing. And I was allowed to do anything. I could take a shower every 3 days, and I could go to the bathroom. That was it. That was all I was allowed to do. And so my husband is very ambitious. Like, he's a very motivated person, and he's just always full of energy. Well, he started remodeling the house. Like, we got new carpet. He put an addition on the back with, he added a dining room, new cabinets and everything in the kitchen. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I love it. I wanted to, do little upgrades to our house for a long time. So I have all these complications with my pregnancy, and I get to 37 weeks, and I come home from the doctor, and I said, we're good to go. I'm like, baby can come. They took me off all medication, lifted the bed rest thing, and he said, that's fantastic. And I couldn't have any stress, like no stress. I was not allowed any stress at all while I was on bed rest, because it could send me into labor. And no stress. So 37 weeks, literally just come home from the doctor. I'm sitting there at the dining room table. I can tell you, like, I remember like it was yesterday. Sitting at the dining room table, my husband is standing here in the kitchen, and he said, that's fantastic, because we're moving to Illinois. And I'm like, what? Like, how is that even possible? And so at that point, I was crushed, because I had my security there. My husband had, we were in, Gambling City, USA. It was good job security for a preacher, right? Because everybody always needs help. And it's true. Sorry. That's what we're here for, to help you. Sorry. But there's a lot of gambling, a lot of addiction there. And so if you're in ministry, you either get burned out real fast, or you can be there forever, because, people really need the Lord out there. And So my security was out there. I didn't have to worry about finances. I didn't have to worry about anything. My child was, after all that bed rest, 2 of them, were born healthy. And here my husband says we're up and moving. And so we took this road trip in 2 days. It was incredible. He actually, this is how motivated he is. He wanted to get to Illinois. So he, you know the little training toilets for the children? I had 2 toddlers. Yeah, he did that. He put one of those little potty seats in the van so we wouldn't have to stop every hour for our toddlers to go to the bathroom. I'm not even kidding you. That's how motivated he was. I don't think he would do that today, and I don't think he'd probably appreciate me telling you that story, but that's what he gets for uprooting me without my knowledge. And so I cried, and it was really hard for me, and I had just had this baby. I have this 2-month-old, and your hormones are all out of whack anyway, and I started to get really depressed. And when we came to Illinois, we moved 6 times in the first year. And we came to be part of a ministry that when we got here, within 2 months of us being in that ministry, the church it was really bad. It was a very, very bad experience. The assistant pastor really made some bad decisions, and he left, and then the pastor left, and then it was a mess. And my husband kind of, took role of pastor at that time, and they were going to vote on him to be a pastor, and there was a small group of people that just rooted up against him and were very, very, very difficult. And they made it quite known and they would speak publicly against him in the church. Just stand up and say, you, blah, 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 blah. And it was just a bad experience. So here I am, I didn't want to come anyway. And I'm slipping into this depression, and my husband got a job, and we didn't have a church that we were part of, and I didn't even want to go to church at that time. I didn't want anything to do with the ministry after that. I was very discouraged. I was very depressed. And it was hard, and my husband had to get another job, and he would get a paycheck, and his paycheck would bounce. And then his boss would shut off his phone. He worked construction, and his boss would shut off his phone. And we had our mortgage payment in Reno, so we hadn't sold our house, and we had our rent here, and we had nothing. We had no income. The income that we thought we had, it didn't work out. And I remember during that time, that transitional time, I remember looking at my cabinets and thinking, I have no food to feed my kids. Like, nothing. I mean, we had hardly anything at all, and our parents lived there, but when you know that God wants you to do something, and without a shadow of a doubt, my husband, he prayed and fasted for weeks about this decision. And so I know that he knew that that's what we were supposed to do. But I began to question it, because if this is what God had for us, why is it so difficult? Why is this so hard? And I remember talking to God, and I said, God, I don't even have food for my kids. And what is going on? And I was depressed, and it was bad. And at that time, my husband came in, and he had brought all these pantry boxes from a food pantry. Someone that we didn't even know said, I just feel like I need to give you this food. And so she brought all this food and filled our cabinets, and I was very thankful. But this is where I was spiritually. This is, just be completely real and honest with you, where my heart was. I said, thanks a lot for the boxed food, God, but I don't have any meat or milk for my kids. That's what I said to God. My husband's a preacher. And I said, thanks for the pantry stuff and the spaghetti noodles, but I've got nothing to add to it. That's where I was spiritually. And at that moment, at that very moment when I said that to God out loud in the kitchen, my husband walked in with a box of meat that some lady that we did not know gave. He goes, some lady just stopped by the church, because at this time he was still working at the church that tore him up. one side down the other, and I didn't. I never went back there. I have since then. I've worked through some things, and I've since gone back to that church for some different things. But he was still there. He said, "This lady just stopped by the church and she brought this food, you know, and it was meat. It was boxes of meat." And I knew at that time that I had to take all of my security, everything that I had. I depended on my husband. I depended, you know, my security was in his job and different things like that. And at that moment in my life, I had to transfer everything that I trusted in my husband, and I had to transfer it to God. And I had to, at that time, learn to rely on God. My story, I told Amy, I said, I don't even know what part of my story to tell them because I could be here all day. And so that's a little bit of it. And then we all are on a journey, right? The theme is road trip. Everyone has a different journey. The first year when we moved here, my 3-year-old, she was 3 at the time, she was diagnosed with epilepsy. She was having up to 20 seizures, 20, 30 seizures a week. And so that went on. I was dealing with that, with the depression. My mother-in-law walked in one time, or she was trying to come to my house, and we had big windows, and I was so depressed. And I remember sitting on the couch, and I could see her coming up through the window. And I sat there. I'm like, I'm not letting that woman in my house, you know? And I was like, I'm not getting up. And I knew she could see me, and I could see her. And she's walking this way, and I'm looking on her at the couch, and she's walking. I'm like, I'm not letting her in. I'm not letting her in. She ain't coming in my house. And she's knocking on the door, and I'm like, I'm not getting up. I ain't letting her in. Because my mother-in-law is a very caring person, and she knew I was depressed, and she knew I had a problem, and she wanted to come talk to me about it, and I wasn't interested. And so she knocked on the door, and I'm like, you're not coming in this time. And she turned the doorknob, and she walked in because it was unlocked. So she got there anyway. But so I was dealing with a lot with my daughter and the epilepsy, and it was a very scary time, and the transition with the churches, and then we ended up starting a year later. I told you I have a long story, so hopefully someone can relate to some part of my long journey here. In the next year, we end up starting a church from scratch. And there's just a lot of emotion, a lot of work that goes in with that. Just to add to my journey, about 2 years after we started the church, I got really, really sick. And really, really sick. I couldn't function, and I tried, and I went to doctor after doctor. You're depressed. I know, but that's not the problem, you know? Like, I knew I had a problem with depression, but that wasn't what was causing me to be sick. I had so much pain in my body, I couldn't function. I couldn't get up to take care of my kids. I couldn't take care of the house, and I was very, very sick for a long time. For years, I kept going to the doctor, and they're like, you're fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine, I can't function. Anybody else been there, like, you know something is wrong, and they start to make you think you're crazy because they can't find anything? And so on Easter of 2013 it was, on Easter, I was sitting at my mom's house, and I went like this just to scratch my head, and I had a bald spot on my head like that big. And I'm like, this is not depression. Like, okay, something is wrong. Like, I know, I'm trying to get right with God here, people. I'm trying to work through my depression. But a bald spot that big does not come from depression, I don't think. And so I went back to the doctor, and I'm like, look. And she goes, oh, don't tell me where it is. Let me see if I can find it on my own. Because they want you to think that you really don't have anything wrong with you. And so she goes, oh, wow. Okay, well, I think we're going to run some tests. And so anyway, they did, and they found what was wrong with me. But I have a genetic disorder called hemochromatosis, and there's like several kinds of it, but I have the kind that's like really bad that you don't get rid of, that you have to be treated for every few months or whatever. So that's what I do. And so at that time, what they do is they do modern day leeching. They just stick, with stuff all over you and suck your blood. Not really, that's not how it goes. But that's kind of the process. They do drain your blood. And so what they do is I had to go, I went 2 or 3 times a week for a while, and then it was down to once a week. And then eventually it was like every couple weeks, and now I go every few months. But what they do is they drain some of your blood. Now, when you go and donate blood, you can only go once every 8 weeks because of what it does to your body. So I'm going like 2 and 3 times a week. And so I was so sick I couldn't function. And I don't want to tell you all of this. My son in the last August, the past 2 years has really struggled with his health. We couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. In August, he had a grand mal seizure, and they did EEGs, and he has generalized epilepsy. And so I don't tell you my whole, I have a lot of good stuff in my life, okay, a lot of good stuff. But I also have a lot of difficult stuff in my life. I live with chronic pain every day. My levels, when they found the hemochromatosis, were near toxic. And it is a miracle of God that my organs did not shut down. Because what happens when your levels reach toxic is all your organs start shutting down one by one. Starts with your liver. With this disease, it starts with your liver and then your heart. And so both of those came back clear. And that is a miracle of God because my levels were so high for so long. But it did damage my body. So I struggle with that every day. And I don't tell you that because I want you to pity me, but I tell you that because I don't know where you are on your journey. And I may only be 35 years old. But I've been through a lot. A lot of hurt. So I don't know where you are on your journey of life. We're all on the same journey of life, and there's roadblocks, and there's detours, and there's flat tires and blowouts. And you have all of those things that come into your lives, and all of us have them. Every single one. Has anyone in here been through a difficult time recently? At all? It's not just me. We all have struggled with something. I don't know if maybe you're struggling in your marriage, your finances, your job, your children. Maybe you have grown children that my older sister made some really bad choices and really ruined her life. She's come back a little bit, but I saw what that did to my mom. And so maybe you're in here and you're hurting because you hold that guilt from your child that ran for God. And so that's not your fault, My mom carried guilt for so long because of the decisions that my sister made, but that's not you. You don't need to carry that guilt. God doesn't want you to hold on to that. And I've been through financial problems where I literally had to tell God, you have to provide for me. Because if you don't, I had nothing else. Where I was at that point financially is I told my husband, I'm going to go get food stamps. And he said, no, ma'am, you're not. And I said, yes, sir, I am. Because I can't, I was scared. And he said, we're not doing that. And I said, I'm going. And I went. And they told me because I was married and my husband had a job, they couldn't help me. And I said, but you don't understand. When he gets paid, his checks bounce, and it's a mess. And she said, I'm sorry, they would not help me. So literally all I had was God. That's it. I had nothing else. My husband was doing all he possibly could to help. It wasn't his fault that I was in this situation. And so all of us have something in our lives that we're struggling with. And I don't know what your struggle is. It may be one of those multiple things that I named. Maybe you have a chronically ill child. That's very difficult if your child is chronically ill because you feel so helpless. There's nothing you can do to make it better. And maybe you yourself, you live in chronic pain every day. I get it. It's hard. It's hard just to get up some days. And people are like, how do you get up and do this? Well, if I don't, my family suffers for it. The ministry suffers for it. But I wanted to share with you I had pages and pages of notes, but then I just decided that I would share my story and just give you just a couple of things that have helped me on this journey. Because I believe whatever road you're on, whatever path that you are on, no matter where, they're all different. Your journey is going to be completely different. Rachel's journey is different than mine. Amy's journey is different. Your journey is different than mine. But a lot of the emotions that we go through can be the same. A lot of the hurts are raw and they're real. And so I wanted to share with you just some things that have helped me get through this. And so I have a lot of verses, but I'm just going to stick to this one passage because I think it would be the most helpful. In 1 Peter chapter 4, verse number 12, it says, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be also glad. You may be glad also with exceeding joy." And then skip down verse 16, it says, "Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf." And so I'm just going to give you 3 quick things, which have kind of turned into 6 things, but I'm going to keep them at 3 things if I can. And the first thing I want you to understand, whatever path you're on, whatever roadblock you have in your life, maybe you're at a crossroads in your life, like you have a decision to make. That's what a crossroads is when you just have a decision of which direction you're going to go. Maybe that's where you are, I don't know. But whatever it is that you have, at the very first part of this verse says, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you." So the first thing that I want you to realize, when those trials come, when that trouble comes, when the pothole comes and blows your tire on the freeway, when that happens, don't be surprised. Do not be caught off guard. It says, think it not strange. Don't be surprised when this happens. Look, it's going to happen. Bad things. I was sitting with a lady on Wednesday night after life group, and she said, "Why would God allow me to go through this?" I said, "I have no idea. It's not fair. What that woman has been through is not fair." And she goes, "Well, it has to be fair because God allowed it." I'm like, it's not fair, but God is still good. And when these things come into our lives, it shouldn't take us off guard. We shouldn't be surprised. You're more than welcome to follow us on Facebook or on our journey. It's been fantastic. Me and Amy on a road trip journey on the way out here. But I posted a picture of me with one of the officers that we happened to run into on our trip. And I took a picture with him and I posted on Facebook because we're trying to keep everybody updated because I have tons of followers, let me tell you. I have my family and my 3 kids. They follow me. As a matter of fact, they text me constantly, and I can't get away. I get it. And my kids were like, they kind of wanted to come, and then they're like, "Well, we have activities. They're like, "Well, we'll go." And I'm like, "Okay, it's 9 hours. We don't want to go." And I'm like, "Okay." And but anyway, I posted a picture of me with this officer, and someone commented on there. They're like, "You look awfully cheery for a damsel in distress." And my response to her was, "Well, I'm not surprised this happened because Rachel picked a road trip theme for her banquet, and so something had to happen." I actually told the officer that. He's like, "You guys doing it right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's sunny outside. We're just having a grand time with my best friend, 18 hours in the car, one way. But, that's okay. We didn't kill each other. You know what? We still are getting along. We didn't turn the radio on at all. We didn't need to. We didn't do any of that. We just talked the whole time for, that long. That many hours. We had to drive back together. And we have a lot more to talk about." And, but I told her, I said, "I'm not surprised that it happened." And so when the trial and the struggle comes in your life, don't let it catch you off guard. Is it going to be easy? No, not at all. It's not easy when my child is seizing. It's hard. I cry sometimes during those moments. But I don't stay in that moment. I don't stay in that. And that's where the difference is. So don't be surprised when bumps happen. We were on the freeway, and you know how many potholes are on the road from here to Illinois? A bazillion. I am certain. I don't know how many there are. There's a lot. There's construction. There is so much construction. I don't know what they're doing because it was dark, but it looked intimidating on the other side. Like, I'm afraid to go back on whatever road we were on the way here last night because they had like this big machine and they're like drilling into the side of a mountain or something. I don't know. I think we need to find a new route on the way home. But that's not surprising when we're driving down the freeway and there's potholes or we have flat tires and that kind of thing. And when God allows things to come into our lives, whether they're brutally difficult or not, we cannot let it catch us off guard. We have to think it not strange. The second thing is, we did this little song with our kids. Stop, look, and listen before you cross the street. Use your eyes, use your ears, then use your feet. You ever hear that one? So we do that with our kids, right? We stop, we look, and we listen. When I was teaching them to cross the street. And thankfully none of them got hit by a car since then. We've been close a couple times, but they've made it. But what I mean by that, stop what you're doing and rest in the Lord. When those times come and you just think, this is hard. Do you know that it's okay for you to not be okay? When you're having, a lot of times we come to the point in our lives where I very much grew up a way that everything had to be perfect all the time. Like I couldn't let my guard down ever, because if I was leading people, they had to know that it was going to be okay. But I'm telling you from experience that it is perfectly okay for you to not be okay. You have to stop. Sometimes we have to stop, and we have to take that time to grieve. We have to take that time to hurt. We have to take that time to cry. And we have to trust that God has a plan and a purpose. I don't know, my daughter she'll be 13 on Tuesday, and she said to me, on her last neurology appointment, when we were driving home, and she said, what they told her is she has refractory epilepsy, which means no matter what they do, no matter how many drugs they give her, she may get a little better to where, like now, she only has seizures every about 3 weeks. So that's really good for her. But they said she's probably not going to get well. And as a 12-year-old, that for her, she can't take a bath. You know how you like to go, teenage girls, are there any teenage girls? How you like to just sorry, I've been looking at you like, but you know how you like to just like maybe take a bubble bath or go relax or babysit? She can't do any of those. If she takes a bath, someone has to sit in there with her. And she's 12. She's almost 13. It's not quite the same when your mommy is sitting in there. She can't babysit. And she looked at me and she said, and I said, how do you feel? And I let if your kids are going through a hard time, let them feel emotion. Let them work through it, and then you just be there to guide them through it. And so I allowed her to say whatever she wanted to say. And she amazes me. She said, Mom, why has God not healed me? I don't know. And that's what I looked at her and I told her, I said, I don't know. And I don't know why God hasn't healed her. And I said, but I know that God has a plan, and I know that God has a purpose for you. And she goes, Mom, I have known, this is what she said to me at 12 years old. Going through it, it's difficult. If your child has a chronic illness, you can understand. It's hard. And she said, Mom, I have known since I was really little that God allowed it so that I could help someone else someday. But it was followed by this. She said, but I've been through it enough, so God could heal me now. I can still help someone. And so she, but what wisdom that my 12-year-old, 13, I should call her 13 because if I keep calling her 12, every day it's a countdown because her birthday's on Tuesday. But rest in the fact that God has a plan. In Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, it says, thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old path. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. If you could just stop wherever you are in your journey of life and ask God for direction, he will give it to you. And not only will he give you direction and lead you in the way that you should go, he will give you rest. Do you ever lay in your bed at night and think, I just want one good night? Yeah, God can do that. We see God as
for salvation, and we see God for all of these things, but he can actually give you a good night of sleep. And that's incredible. So wherever you are, stop trying to fix it. Do you know there was nothing I could do for that blowout tire? You know what they had in the trunk of this car? They had a pump that you could pump up the tire with, instead of a spare. You cannot pump up a tire with air that has a big slit in it. It doesn't work. There was nothing I could do to fix it. And do you know that you are spinning your wheels and your energy trying to fix something, and God wants you to stop trying to fix? Do you know how many diets I've been on trying to fix my health problems? A lot. Like, don't eat gluten, don't eat sugar, don't eat red dye, don't eat this, and don't eat that. Now, I am full firm believer in healthy eating. We do a lot of that at our house because of our health issues. But no diet is going to cure me. No diet is going to cure my daughter's epilepsy. I can do what I can to help it. And I can function better when I do change my diet. That's a whole nother story. But I could park there for a real long time because it does make a huge difference in your life. But rest in the Lord and allow him to guide you and lead you. And the last thing is you need to get a new perspective on life. We've all heard the story of the lady who complained about her neighbors hanging dirty laundry out on her line, right? Over and over again, every day. Why is her laundry so dirty? Why would she hang dirty laundry on the line? You know, and she's real snooty like that. And why would she hang dirty laundry on the line? You know, that's just wrong. Someone should teach her. Someone should teach this woman how to do her laundry. And her husband went over and cleaned off her window. And guess what? The lady's laundry was clean. It was her dirty window. But that's how it is so much in our lives. We have to gain a new perspective on life. And that God has a plan and a purpose. I talked to a couple people yesterday, and they're like, how are you so happy on this road trip? I'm like, look, it is not raining. I am with my best friend. She is stuck and locked in a car with me, and she can't get help. She's trapped, and she has to listen to everything that I have to say. And she does. She's a very gracious listener. And she listened to me for 15, 16, however many hours it took us to get here. And she listened. And sometimes we just have to gain a new perspective. It would be really easy, with struggling with depression, it's very easy for me to go back to that place. Does anyone else, you don't have to raise your hand, but does anybody else struggle with depression? It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. And it's every day. When you wake up in the morning and you're like in so much pain that you can hardly get out of bed, and you're like, I have to get out of bed just to get through the day, you know, because your body just hurts. Every part of your body hurts. My husband's like, what hurts today? Yes, it all does, you know. And that's how it is sometimes. But I could live my life. And as a matter of fact, this is very interesting. We have the tow truck guy, when he got out, I was a little worried. He didn't look he looked a little scary to me. And, you know, he wasn't a limo driver, he was a tow truck driver, nothing against him. And we get in his car, his truck, whatever, before he did. And down there underneath his steering wheel, he has an organic energy drink. And Amy, she's my organic, natural friend here. And she was like all excited. She's like, this guy has organic energy drink. And she's like snapping a picture of his energy drink, you know, which we have some of those of our own on the way home. And so she's snapping a picture. This guy was so interesting. And he said a lot of great, really interesting stuff. But you know what else he said? He said these words. He said, you know, if people would just be a little more positive, you could do anything. You could go anywhere. You could accomplish anything. He was in the military previously, and his dad was in the military and that kind of thing. And he's like, if you would just have a positive outlook on life, you could go places. And I thought, that is from this tow truck driver with his organic energy drink, and he's so right. And we have to gain a new perspective. The Bible tells us in 1 Peter 4, it says, that ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. God does not ever allow your pain to be wasted. Ever. Anything that you have ever gone through in your life, maybe you feel unworthy because you've made some bad decisions, that God can't use you, or maybe you feel unloved because you were abused as a child, or maybe you've been through something where you just feel no one cares. Whatever you have been through, God is not going to waste that. He's not going to allow you to go through some heartache just to be wasted. And I want you to remember that. Whatever you're going through, your pain is not wasted. God is not going to waste that. I'm going to leave you with one more thing, and Amy gets the credit again. I was struggling. Imagine that. I just told you my life story. I was struggling one day, and I really was. I was struggling with everything, and I was struggling with my prayer life and my spiritual life. And I said, if I am praying, why won't God answer my prayers? Why won't he heal my daughter? Like, why? I'm begging him. I'm praying. And I'm praying in the right spirit. I'm praying in the right way. I'm praying. I'm like reading books on prayer and asking my husband for his sermon notes on prayer. And I'm doing this thing right. Why won't he heal her? Or all the other multitude of ailments we have in our house. Why do we have to suffer? And Amy looked at me and she said, and this was after a Sunday morning service that I knew was just for me. Do you ever get those messages where you're like, my husband really was looking in my windows because he's a pastor and he's my husband. But, so yeah, he nails me a lot of times, from the pulpit and lets everybody know my problems. But it was a really good message and it was very convicting, but I still struggle. And Amy looked at me and I said, and I was frustrated. I'm like, I don't get it. And she said these words that have stuck with me and have changed my life. And she said, without the process, there is no glory. And I had to think about it a minute, and then I told her, stop getting all spiritual on me. I'm your pastor's wife, and I'm supposed to be spiritual to you. But if you don't have a friend in your life that can speak truth to you, you need to find that person that can speak truth to you and speak spiritual to you. And she said, without the process, there would be no glory. And what does that mean exactly? In that same passage it says, inasmuch as you're partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed. And everything that you go through in your life, God can get glory out of. Everything. And we might not understand how or why, how he's going to use it, but one day we'll know, and God will get the glory. And that everything that we go through, we need to go through with that in mind. If I fixed my problems, if I fixed my daughter's epilepsy, who gets the glory? Me, right? I did this and I'm healed. She did this and we healed her. No. Sometimes God has to put you in place where all you can do is look to him and say, God. So whatever heartache, trial, crossroads, detour, flat tire you're at today, just remember that without that process there would be no glory. And sometimes we have to go through those things for God to be glorified. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for this time that we can come be with these ladies, and what an adventure it's been. And I thank you so much for that. And Lord, I know that every lady in this room is on some sort of journey. She is on some sort of road trip. And God, I pray that you would help each lady in here this afternoon, that you would just help them and encourage them and strengthen them, Lord. And Lord, I pray that whatever heartache they're going through, whatever trial they're going through, I pray that they would understand that you have a plan and a purpose for their lives, Lord, and that each and every one of them is worthy of your love and your purpose. And God, I just pray that you would help us as we all go our separate ways and go on this journey called life, Lord, that you would just continue to guide us and help us and grow us. And God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And Lord, I just pray that you would help us as we go our separate ways. Amen.
That was excellent. Thank you. The theme throughout, though, is God. And there might be ladies here who, you know, it sounds good what she's saying, but you couldn't figure out how to put all the pieces together because you don't have that God in your life. And so if you're sitting here today and you're like, I could use that help and I could use that perspective, but there's never been a time where I've asked Christ to be my Savior and the Lord of my life and to help me through this road trip, make sure you come see one of us. I'd be happy to sit down with the Bible and show you exactly how you can get that help and that power. Misty would be glad to. There's many ladies here that can sit down with the Bible and can show you step by step, take you on a road trip through the Bible. They actually call it the Romans Road, and it's how you can know for sure that you're going to heaven and you can have that help in your life. So if there's never been a time where you've done that, I want to invite you. We'll be around afterwards. Stick around for a couple minutes, and we'll have someone sit down with you and take you through the Romans Road, and you can be absolutely for sure that you have Christ in your heart to help you through all these trials that are going to come, even if with or without God, they're going to come. But let me tell you, with Christ as your help, life's a whole lot easier, and you have that power in you to get through those. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for coming. This was a great attendance. Everyone had a great spirit. Seems like everyone had a great time. Great food. Where's Michelle? She's sitting in here. Give her a hand. Miss Michelle. She did a fantastic job. If you don't see her for a few days, it's because she's passed out in her room. Her family will eat fast food for the next week because she has done cooking forever. But we do have a contest, and it was very hard. You guys did some amazing tables in there. It was really, really good. And I said I was not going to be the judge of it because I have to live with you guys. So I let Misty and Amy be the judge because they're leaving, and you can be mad at them forever. But she actually came back a couple times with a different thing. Okay, I picked this. She goes, no, I think it's this one. No, I think it's this one. But she has a final pick. Should we get a drum roll? The winning state on our road trip is Nevada. Yeah. So if I could have a Nevada representative come forward. They did a great job. Fantastic. So again, I want to thank you. If you've done a table, make sure you get out there and get all your stuff so they don't put it in a tub and it goes in our storage building and you'll never find it again. If you have children downstairs, make sure you go grab them first because I'm sure they've probably eaten all the candy by now, and I apologize for your trip home, but you don't have to go very far. Thank you very much. I had a wonderful time, and I hope you did too, and everyone's dismissed.